Hi, this is Marek from Tryb. Today I would like to tell you more about the game called Leviathan Wilds. It's a game published by Moonshot Games. Thanks for sending this game for review. And this is a cooperative, you can say, fantasy game in which there are a lot of huge beasts, bosses, leviathans, and you have to climb them and not defeat them, but you have to climb them and save them and heal them. So this is a cooperative game, fantasy game for 1 to 4 players. If you have ever played a game called Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation, this is kind of this feeling where you have these huge giant monsters that you have to climb and in this game save. I will show you in a second how the game plays. I will show you what the game is about. There's of course a solo mode here, and after that I will tell you what's my opinion on this game. This is Leviathan Wilds prepared for a 2-player game. We have the main, you can say, board with your boss, with your Leviathan. There are 17 different bosses in this booklet. They all have difficulty levels. This is the first one, the easiest one. Each Leviathan has got 5 different attack cards. They have like 2 sides. This is the regular side and this is the enraged side. Depending how the boss is angry, you will turn specific number of cards to the enraged or regular cards. Basically, the longer you play the game, the more angry the boss, the Leviathan, becomes. Each card shows a different attack. Each Leviathan in this game has a different deck of cards. Here you can see the big deck of cards for each Leviathan. Here, for example, is Leviathan number 2, Sentinel, and you have 5 attack cards. So here are all the cards for each Leviathan. So all of them, they feel different and they have different and unique attacks. On the Leviathan boards, you can see dice, and these are the crystals that you have to destroy in order to heal, to save the Leviathan. Because even though this is a boss battler game, you don't really fight with the boss, but you are trying to save and to heal the boss. So a dice with number 3 represents a crystal with, you can say, health or durability 3, so you have to defeat it in order to remove it from the board. There are also this teal die, and the blue teal dice, they represent also crystals, but these are blighted crystals, corrupted, and when you attack the blighted crystals, you will gain blight. And this is nothing good. Your climber, they have health and blight level, and if at any point your health cube on this climber board goes down and meets the blight cube, this character will die. So you have to try not to lose your health, but you also need to try not to gain too much blight. Here on this Leviathan board we also have these mushrooms. You can collect the mushrooms to gain specific bonuses, different bonuses and different like additional actions and some ways to remove blight, maybe additional climb or glide. They are placed on the board here, and you can pick them when you move to a specific spot, to a specific space on the Leviathan board. Because these are the Leviathans that you will have to climb from bottom to top, destroy the crystals, pick up mushrooms. When all crystals are destroyed, you will win the game. And of course you will lose the game if all your climbers die. Here on the top we have a small board that reminds you what are the steps of each turn. It also shows you how many cards are placed in the enraged version. So this tracks the rage of the Leviathan. Here we have injury deck. This is a deck of cards with injuries, so also they are not very good for your climbers. Some effects in the game, they tell you to take an injury card. They always have a negative effect, but usually there is a way written on the card itself that tells you how you can remove this specific injury. To climb the Leviathan, you need climbers, and this is the climber board. Here you have your health track. You start with 8. Anytime you take damage, you move this cube to the right. Here is your blight level. It starts at 0. If you gain blight, you move it to the left. As I said earlier, if these two cubes meet or move over each other, then this character will die. When one climber dies, all remaining climbers, they have one additional turn to win the game. If they don't manage to win the game, they will of course lose. And as I said earlier, to win the game you have to destroy all the crystals. So this is the place where you place your space where you place your hero card, your climber card. Each climber has got some statistics like mobility, power, support, difficulty level. So just like with bosses, some climbers are more difficult to play with, and each climber has got a unique action that he or she can take during the game. Here you have written here are written all the actions that you can take during your turn. They have different cost. So one action point is to climb 1, so move 1 point up, down, left or right on this Leviathan board. You can jump or you can glide, you can strike. Strike means removing crystals. You can rest if you find a ledge on the Leviathan board. Ledges are shown with this white underline here. So this is a ledge, this is a ledge, this is a ledge. If you're on a ledge, you can rest. And resting means that you will shuffle your discard, all the discard cards, they will go back to your grip side of your character. Mend means that you can regain your lost health, and there are some anytime actions here. Each character starts with 1 or 2 action cards, and you also need to choose, apart from a character, you also need to choose a profession. There are 8 different professions in the game, like Breaker or Herald or Gadgeteer, 8 different professions, and there are 8 different heroes. Each profession contains 8 action cards. Each climber contains 1 or 2 action cards, and if you choose a climber and a profession, you will shuffle all the action cards together, and this is your deck. This is your deck of cards, and these cards are used for actions, to perform different actions. You will spend the cards to gain action points, and you also will spend those cards to perform special abilities. But the cards are also your grip. As long as you have cards on your grip area here, you can climb the Leviathan. But each time you will draw cards from this grip pile, you will have less and less cards in the grip pile. And if at any point you have 0 cards in your pile, in your deck, you will fall down. And you will fall down as many spaces as there are no ledges. If you land on a ledge, you can stop falling, but sometimes there are not many ledges, and it can happen that you will be on the top of a Leviathan, you will run out of cards, and you will fall down to the bottom of the boss. So, and this is a cool idea that this deck of cards that are normally used for doing different actions, it is also your grip. So sometimes it's clever to rest when you see you have not enough cards, because when you rest on a ledge, you will get all the cards from your discard deck back to your grip pile here. So you have your climbers and you have the Leviathan. You have to climb. What happens each turn? At the start of each turn, you have to reveal a threat. You will reveal the leftmost uncovered card, and it tells you what action is the Leviathan going to do. Here it says active push 1 down. So the active player, the player whose turn it is, will be pushed down. But the player will not be pushed down straight away, but he or she will be pushed down at the end of doing all the actions. Thematically, it means that this Leviathan, they are huge creatures, huge monsters, and they are quite slow. So by revealing the leftmost card, you can kind of be prepared for the action that the Leviathan will take after you. Not always, because sometimes there are cards here that are triggered the moment you reveal them, so you have no time to prepare, but usually a lot of these cards tell you what is the plan of Leviathan. Now when it's your turn, you start the game with 3 action cards, and these are the action cards that you can use. At the start of each turn, you have to spend one of these cards to not to perform an action, but to gain action points. Each card in the top left corner has got a number. Here we have 3 cards with 4, but there are cards with 3 and 5, and depending, let's say that this is my hand of cards, depending on my choice, I can spend one of the cards to gain action points. Let's say I will spend this card, so I will gain 5 action points. I will have to place this card here under my board, and I have 5 action points. I can spend those action points to do these different things, like 1 action point means to climb, and you climb like this. 3 action points means jump 2, so you jump over 1 space up. Glide means going down or down left or down right. Strike means to attack. X means that you need to spend, for example, if you spend 2 action points to strike, you will deal 2 damage. Here, if you spend 2 action points to glide, you will glide 2. So now you have to decide how many action points you want to spend, and you will climb, you will jump, you will glide, you will strike those crystals. You can also use those action cards to perform actions. So for example, if you want to use Joyride, you can move 2 spaces up, left or right. You don't have to pay any action points to perform this action, but you will have to discard this card. And as I said earlier, the less cards you have in your grip area, the worse, because when you run out of grip cards, you will fall down. Or you can, for example, use this card, gain blight protection on your strike, or apply +1 to that strike. If you will strike the blue dice, you will gain blight. There are ways like this card, for example, to protect from blight. The action cards, they also have this symbol here, and if you use an action card in your turn for action points, you also gain protection. This is protection against those spaces on the Leviathan, because normally when you climb on a space with this symbol, you have to lose 1 health. This means difficult terrain, so if you climb on a space with this symbol, you have to discard 1 card from your grip area. And this card, for example, will prevent you from gaining blight when you decide to strike a blight crystal. So you have to remember that apart from the number here, which represents the number of action points you will get, you can also get protection depending on the card you choose. Some cards, they have no protection at all. After you spend all your action points on doing different actions, then you will resolve the threat. Here, active player will push 1 down, so I will move down 1 spot on the Leviathan. And this is basically it. Now I can draw up to 3 cards. So I can take 3 cards, 2 cards, 1 card, or 0 cards, it's up to me. Now I will be able to redraw up to 3 cards. And this is the end of a turn. Next turn, you will reveal a new card. And for example, here is a specific attack of the boss. It says active, and here is this red symbol. So you have to take this plastic token and you have to place it around your climber. And this means that this is the space where the Leviathan will attack, and it will hit those spaces here. Each player who will be on those spaces will lose 2 health when the Leviathan strikes. And then the next player will spend cards to perform action, will climb, jump, glide, strike. You can collect mushrooms on your way. Collecting mushrooms doesn't cost anything. you can do it for free. Also, if you have some action cards in your hand and it's not your turn, you can also for free spend those cards to perform additional abilities. So you can use cards in your hand not on the turns of other players, but remember that you will start your turn with less cards in your hand. When all cards are revealed after 5 turns, you have to move this tracker to the right, and now it means that one card will be placed in this enraged side. So you have to shuffle this deck. One card will be placed like this, which means this is enraged. The rest are placed normally, and you can continue. So the longer you play, the more cards are placed in the enraged form. This is basically how you play the game. You have to defeat crystals and you have to stay alive. As I said earlier, 8 different classes, 8 different characters. You can combine any class with any characters. There are 17 Leviathans, and each of them has got different deck of attack cards. If it's still not enough for you, there is this Leviathan Wilds mutation pack that looks like this. And here are additional cards that can be applied to each Leviathan, like mutations. And for example, this Leviathan can gain some abilities from other Leviathan from this booklet, because here are the names of different Leviathans, and Avalanche, and Bloom, and Collector. And Collector, you have to choose one set of cards different than the name of your main Leviathan, and then this Leviathan will gain even more special attacks and abilities. So the replayability is really good. If you play solo, you can play normally with 2 characters. Okay, one thing I forgot to tell you, there's also this focus token. There are some skills that allow you to put this token to the unused side, and anytime you have this token here on this unused side, you can spend it to add +1 to any ability from your cards. So if a card says climb 1, you can spend this focus token to climb 1 + 1 to climb 2. But if you want to play this game solo, you can just use 2 climbers and play normally. So each climber has got his or her own deck. One climber plays, then this Leviathan, then the next climber, and they play one after another. But there's also a dedicated solo mode where you play with 2 characters, but they have like a combined deck. So you choose only one profession and 2 different characters. You create a huge deck of cards from all these cards, so cards from one character and second character and this class. You shuffle this deck together, and this is your like shared deck between those 2 characters. Each time you take cards from this deck, no matter which climber is currently playing, you take cards from one deck. When this one deck is depleted, then both climbers fall down. So it feels a little different. I prefer to play with 2 climbers, the regular rules. So each climber has got a dedicated deck of cards, a grip deck, their own abilities and so on. But if you don't like to have 2 different decks of cards, you can combine them and play with 2 climbers, but 1 deck of cards and only 1 profession. This is basically how you play Leviathan Wilds. So you know how the game plays. Let me tell you about my pros. Great climbing mechanic. I really like the climbing in this game, and this is very important because this is a game about climbing. You can climb, you can jump, you can glide, you have some free open spaces that you have to jump across. You have this grip deck, and if you are out of grip, you will fall down. You have the ledges. So the climbing is really, really well done. I like the use of action cards because the action cards are your grip. So if you are out of cards, you will fall down. They are also used to get action points and some protection during your turn, but you can also spend them as normal special actions in your turn or other player turns, so this is really well designed. This game has awesome replayability. You have 17 Leviathans in the base game, you have 8 classes and 8 characters. When you create your climber, you combine a class and a hero, so you have a unique deck of cards. Each combination feels a little different, each Leviathan feels different, and if it's not enough for you, you can get this mutation pack and even mutate the existing Leviathans, giving them additional powers and strengths. It's really a lot of gameplay inside this box. Each class, as I said earlier, feels different. Each Leviathan feels different. It's not like all the bosses. It's just a different pattern with dice placed in different areas. They all feel different. They have different attack cards, and each hero and class also feels asymmetric because you have completely different action cards that you can use each turn. So it's really cool. If you like Shadow of the Colossus, the PlayStation game, you will fall in love in Leviathan Wilds. If you have not, don't worry, you don't need to play it. Just this game and this PlayStation game, they share the same idea, that you have this huge Colossus Leviathans that you have to climb in order to, in Shadow of the Colossus, in order to defeat them, and here to save them. Components are nice, you have plastic insert and really well designed. You have space for each component, there is space for sleeved cards, everything fits inside, and this box is also not too big. There is not, you know, some spare air inside this box. It's a really well designed box and components and game insert. The mutation pack, as I said earlier, adds even more variety. I know that this game will be on Kickstarter again. There will be a reprint of this game, and they plan a small expansion, I know, so it will be a good chance to get this game, because I don't think this game is available in the shops, normally in retail. So what are the cons? Just one, really, not a big one. The artwork in this game is not the best one I have seen. If you look at the cards, the Leviathans are okay, but if you look at the action cards, it's not the best art I have seen on cards. If you think of, I don't know, Magic the Gathering and all the beautiful cards, this is not the same level. It's okay, but nothing special. But basically this is the only con. I cannot think about anything else, any other cons of this game. I love this game. It's a great game. It's a cooperative game. It's a great boss battler game. To be honest, I don't remember this game from Kickstarter campaign. I have noticed some reviews and photos when the game was sent to backers, and all the reviews were positive, and I have to say that all the people were right. It's a great cooperative boss battling game. If you love this genre of games, if you like cooperative games like, I don't know, Eon's End, for example, in which two mages or, I know, pack of mages fought with a boss, this is the same feeling. It's just about climbing, but great game. Sometimes there are a lot of games, or sometimes there are games that are very hyped, and you read a lot about it and you are happy, and when the game comes out, it's just so, it's mediocre and it's nothing special. And sometimes there are games like this one that you have not heard a lot about before it was released, and then you fall in love in this game. I'm in love with Leviathan Wilds. This game will definitely be in my top 10 games for 2024 list, I'm sure right now. I will definitely back the expansion for this game on Kickstarter when it will be crowdfunded. Great game. I can highly recommend this game to everyone who loves fantasy, cooperative, boss battling games. Thank you for watching. Click the like button if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. You can visit me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I will leave links in the description of the video. Thanks again. See you next time. Bye.